Welcome to the Marketing Pulpit Show, and I am Robert Gatewood, your host. We are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. We're not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. Now, if I happen to save a soul along the way, don't hold that against me. We'll just call that icing on the cake. Now, the mission at Marketing Pulpit Show is to build strong businesses in our community so that we can put our people to work. And we do that with business development, job creation, and service. So if you ever find yourself in a business crossroads and not sure which way to turn, just turn on the Marketing Pulpit Show because we're on a mission. The show is broadcast live from the illustrious Radio 1 studio. Good morning. Welcome to the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. And we are here every Friday at 10:30 a.m. bringing you the good marketing gospel. Not saving souls, we're saving businesses, saving jobs, saving our community. Boy, what better time than these times in which we're in? You got to be about something. You got to have something, own something. Can't be depending on other people for your livelihood and your family and your community. You have to do something for yourself. That's what I'm talking about this morning. That's what the Marketing Pulpit is about. It's about building strong businesses. Because business ownership is a pathway to independence, self-sufficiency, stronger community, strong kids, strong adults. You got to do it. This is not an option, ladies and gentlemen. That's why I do this every Friday at 10:30 a.m. And I make it into a ministry. My dad was a preacher. I'm a business preacher. I talk business. This is the Marketing Pulpit Business Show. We're about building businesses, not just any business. We want to build successful businesses. And the best way to do that is through marketing. If you're not doing marketing, you're not going to succeed. Just plain tell it like it is. Thank you for joining us this morning. If you're joining for the first time, welcome. We do this every Friday, 10:30. I've been doing this now for 14 years and glad to be here. And I am a business developer by trade. This is what I do for a living. I help companies in the business space, marketing strategies, marketing plans, business plans, design services, web services, technical services, consulting, strategy. I teach this at the college. Matter of fact, I just had a class this past Saturday for 6 hours. It's about marketing strategies for today and tomorrow. Had a great group of young people and adults. It's been part of their Business Owner Success Series program over at the Prince George's Community College. Been doing that for 25 years. Also written a couple of books on the topic of marketing. Played in Full and Smarter Than the Boss. I worked in the government space for many years. The FAA, the Department of Labor, the Small Business Administration as a consultant in the technology space. I've been doing this for a minute, ladies and gentlemen, but the work is never done. And this radio show is part of that ministry, of that passion of mine. To get it done, we got to get it done. So thank you again for tuning in. Good morning, Brother Brown. And thank you for joining us as you often do. And to find out more about the show, you can go to marketingpulpit.com. We have the show listed and broadcast live right on the homepage. You don't have to go searching all over the internet. Just remember, marketingpulpit.com, and it'll take you right there. You'll see my big head sitting up on the screen just talking away. But it's not an empty wagon. It's full of information about business success. And today is no exception. We're going to talk about steady wins the race. Ask you if you've heard that parable when you were a kid about the tortoise and the hare. The tortoise was kind of slow and persistent, consistent, and the hare jumping all over the place, jumping up and down, flashy and loud. And hare took off and left the old tortoise in the dust. We're going to talk about the end of that story and how this may be applicable to you and your business journey. So hang on for that. Have a lot of other things going on. If you haven't joined us already for the first Friday networking event, we're going to do it again next Friday, which is going to be November 1st. The first Friday is going to also be the first day of the month. So November 1st in Largo, Maryland. If you're in the Washington, D.C. area, then come on out and join us. I'll be there as the co-facilitator, Miss Bernadette Clay. She's going to be calling the shots over there and just rallying the troops, as we say it. Get all these business owners together and pull on each other with that quiet strength. And we're going to talk about gratitude this time. The power of gratitude, the power of being gracious and thankful for what you have, and how that power can be utilized and monetized. And Miss Clay is the embodiment of that. Very gracious and talented young lady. Been fortunate to work with her for the past, well, how long we've been on this show. And they're one of the sponsors of the show. So come on out, go to marketingpulpit.com. You'll see the flyer on the right side. Just click on that flyer. And if you're not even coming out, just click on it to find out what we're about and what we do at this first Friday. I teach a networking course at the college, and we talked about that about a week ago. And the power of networking. And the big tip and takeaway from networking was it's about what can you do for other people. It's not about going out with your sales book in your hand and trying to fast talk somebody into buying your services. Networking is about helping others. Givers gain, the spirit of reciprocity. So you get a chance to practice that at the first Friday that's coming up on November 1st if you're in the DC area. The last turnout, we had about between 30 and 40 people. I mean, the room was full. And a great guest speaker, Dr. Mildred Charles, talked about artificial intelligence. Another big advantage of networking is the information you get and the perspective on how to succeed in business and get the opinions and feedback from others. So come on out on the first Friday, November 1st. Go to marketingpulpit.com. Banners on the right, or you can go to ble.com and click on the events tab. This is a partnership between BLE Executive Suites and the Marketing Pulpit, and we're glad to partner with people. That's another big advantage of networking. You find those partners, those collaborators that's going to help you in business. You can't do this alone. I'm just telling you. You may, but it's going to be very difficult. And also, like I said, don't forget about the topic we're going to talk about later on. Does steady win the race? Are you just wasting your time by being slow and persistent? Should you just jump out there and throw Hail Marys and get it over with? Well, that's just might what happened. We're going to talk about that coming up later in the show. Also, don't forget to join the business directory. Go to bmpi.bz. The Marketing Pulpit is proud to announce that we have a just off the chart business directory. You know, it was 500 businesses have joined since we've launched it a couple of years ago. And it's still growing. We're adding new people every week, people from all over the country and outside the country. People up in Canada and Africa and all over the place have been joining this directory. So jump in there and it's free. What you waiting on? What are you waiting on? There's an old saying, don't curse the darkness when you have a candle to light. Light the candle. So we're making this candle available to you. Go ahead and light that candle and get your name in that directory so I can shout you out on the airways. Let's see what's going on. One of our new sponsors, DLive Scan, fingerprints, passport photos, and notary services. They're one of our newer sponsors. Go over there and check them out. They're out of Hyattsville. It's Sheila Stokes and company. Great group of people. Glad to have them on board. And our regular sponsors like BLE Executive Suites with their 3 locations in the DC area, Largo, National Harbor, and College Park. Go to blesuites.com to find out more about the wonderful services they have. We do these monthly observances also to help bring awareness to certain causes. Like this is ADHD Awareness Month, Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder Month, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, Down Syndrome Awareness Month, National Bully Prevention Awareness Month, National Diabetes Month, Vegetarian Month, and of course, others. And some may ask, why do we even bother? Well, we want to bring attention, create awareness, show support, advocate for change, break down stigma, promote understanding, mobilize the masses, and of course, identify resources for people who may be afflicted by some of these challenges. So plus it just fosters a good community involvement, get us all working on the same page, doing something great. We also like to keep you abreast of what's going on in the news. And the news is, well, you never run out of things to talk about if you want to talk about the news. I can stand here and talk about the news all day. So I pick a few stories that may be relevant and maybe you may have seen on and give a little commentary. You get a chance to do a commentary as well. You can drop your comments in the feed and we'll chat you right on there. McDonald's is facing the fallout from E. coli. Some of its burgers have resulted in 10 hospitalizations and 1 death. And the company is scrambling to contain the fallout. And a Colorado man has filed the first lawsuit tied to the outbreak. Of course, the president is saying the food is safe and so forth and so on. I did one of the courses I teach at the college is public relations and communications. And one of the components of that is crisis management. So I'm sure that the PR people at McDonald's are working overtime. They're trying, how can we tamp this down? And, just the simple way some of the obvious ways to do it is to assure people, like the president did, you have an initial statement that pretty much let people know, look, we're on top of this. Tell people to calm down, let them know the food is safe. And then you have to also follow up by letting them know what measures have been put in place to make sure there's no recurrence. So PR, the McDonald's fallout from the E. coli is a good example of what the need for good PR, good public relations, and crisis management. One of the courses that I teach at the college, and one of the services we offer through Gatewood Marketing and Web. Let's see here. The Wall Street Journal and New York Post have sued Perplexity. Now, Perplexity is one of those AI programs, pretty neat program. It's kind of like ChatGPT on steroids. And they're saying basically, it's a blazing example of their free riding on their content. And they're using it to train their AI models without their permission. One thing, I think I'm going to start me a segment, a weekly segment on AI, not just AI, but AI and the law. Because last week we had a story about parents who sued the school system because they gave their kid a bad grade because the child used AI. In a story he wrote about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And of course the lawsuit was that, hey, look, you don't have the rules in place, should be challenging these kids how to use it instead of punishing them. So this is every week there is a lawsuit, and there will be more as people work out the legalities of artificial intelligence. So stay tuned to that. Stay tuned to that. By the way, Perplexity is raising money with an eye towards an evaluation of $8 billion. Man, yeah, it's making some money up in here. Let's see. Here's a story here that the not so happy category. A mom left 3 kids home alone while she traveled out of state for liposuction surgery. I mean, that was a bad decision is kind of obvious, but the lengths people will go through now for cosmetic surgeries just continues to baffle the mind. It's not just the women, it's men. Everybody's kind of jumping on this bandwagon to be something they're not. I long for the day when we're going to come back to just being who we are and look the way we look, for better or worse. And I think people want that. And it's definitely not worth leaving your kids home. 2 of the kids had special needs, 7-year-olds. I think the 10-year-old was left in charge. And it came to light when the 10-year-old told the teacher that his mother had told him to order some Uber Eats and left the food at the door. The mom was found guilty of child endangerment, and she faces up to 6 months in prison for leaving the child in such a vulnerable position. Well, like I said, we're not going to beat up on the mom. Who knows what her issues are. And sometimes there's always more to the story. But in general, bad decisions have a way of catching up with us. whether it's leaving your kid home while you're going out and getting a BBL or whatever the story is, or if you're making bad business decisions, just be thoughtful and mindful. And sometimes when you're doing something, you just need to pause and think about it. Go close the door and chant, pray, whatever you do. It's not, because your instinct is rarely wrong. I'm sure that lady's instinct told her. Instinct was like, hey, psh, psh, going out of state, leaving your kids to get a liposuction is probably not a good idea. And so she probably overrode her instinct. I'm just saying, give your instinct a little more grace. Well, this mom is another mom. Boy, this is not a good day for moms. Mother, she says her car was repossessed with a newborn baby inside. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, why the newborn baby and the mother separated? If you got a newborn baby, it seems like the baby should be with you and not out in the car being repossessed. That's the first thing wrong. Now, like I say, people are struggling. I get that. Sometimes that take back now. They gotten very creative too. They got AI now working for them and all kind of stuff. They can find. It's hard to hide those cars anymore. So you might as well go ahead and pay your bills if you can. But also another message is so many people are living beyond their means. I was reading the story. I don't know if the veracity of it, but Kiki Palmer, she said she had some struggles when she was 18 years old, and she has learned now to live below her means. And she said she drives a Toyota. She's like, no take back, man. Come to get my Lamborghini or Mercedes or Jaguar or whatever it is. So the lesson in this particular story, and I don't know the circumstances. Like I said, the lady could have had a Toyota. She could have had something less. I don't know. But just in case, when people are starting to repossess your belongings, you might need to take an inventory on how you're spending your money and make sure you're not living beyond your means. And I'm tell you, I've been there. I'm the poster boy for many things I talk about on this show, including once upon a time I lived beyond my means. I felt like I had to own luxury cars, and well, it's a new day. We live and we learn. Okay. Last news story: this person got a doctorate degree and is saddled now with $250,000 in student loans. That's one thing. But the second whopper is that the person is looking for a job for the last 4 years. Okay. So you went to school, you got a doctorate degree, cost you $250,000. Wow, man, what school did she go to? And you've spent the last 4 years looking for a job. Okay, the job market is tough. Now, what I'm going to just say for this, like I said, I don't know the circumstances. I am not going to be second guessing because I've had student loans like everybody else, and I question the veracity of the wisdom of getting some of those loans for the education. Of course, I'm proud of the degrees that I have and got my undergrad, master's in business administration. I had to pay for it. But what I will say for this, and for anybody who's contemplating career pathways, that one, you don't have to get some of these degrees now to be successful. That's an old model. Just getting a doctorate degree to say you have one is not. It's like driving around in an expensive car nowadays. Like I said, I'm talking about somebody myself who has an advanced degree. But I know when I was doing my thing, the algorithm was different. Now you can attain success by getting certifications, experience on the job, networking, starting a business. It's not the only pathway. And I still say hats off to people who have the advanced degrees and worked for them. And like I said, I bow. Hats off. Congratulations. But for the younger people, have a goal in mind. That's the bottom line. What do you plan to do with that degree? If you have a $250,000 doctorate degree and you've been looking for a job for 4 years, I think there may have been a little lack of planning, or sometimes the landscape just changed from under us so fast. Maybe when she started the doctorate program, this may have been pre-COVID, things changed. There's a lot of things that can change, but let's just think about some of these decisions we make. All right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about, are you a tortoise or a hare? I know you're saying, wait a minute, Gabe, I'm not even one. I'm a human being. I'm a person. I'm not an animal. Okay, well, I'm being rhetorical. I'm playing on the old parable when we were kids. That little rabbit running circles around that turtle. But somehow the ending wasn't what we might expect. And this is so applicable to business and entrepreneurship. You just have to stick around for this next segment on steady wins the race. Are you a tortoise or a hare? Flair or Fortitude? So hang on a second. We're going to take a quick break. This is the Marketing Pulpit. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We'll be back in a minute. Hey, welcome back. It's the Marketing Pulpit Show. I'm Robert Gatewood, your host. We are a business show. If you're in business, you're thinking about going into business, if you know someone who's in business or thinking about going into business, you need to pass this information over to them. You can go to Facebook and share it. You can send them a link from our Marketing Pulpit website. You can share it from your YouTube channel, from your LinkedIn channel, from your, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. We're all over the place at Marketing Pulpit, and they need to get this information. I'm just saying, we've been doing this for a minute, and the goal is to help companies grow. And we bring a marketing sermon every week. It's about, now, one thing about my perspective, the things that I talk about are generally, it's almost like you're walking this journey with me. Very few things I talk about that I have not experienced firsthand, either through myself personally, through one of my clients, one of my vendors, suppliers. I know somebody that knows somebody. So it's a good place to, if you're a business owner, you're trying to get off the ground. I talked about, I teach this also at the college. And if you're a business owner, once upon a time, business owner meant you went out here starting a business, going to replace your day job and going to be your primary source of income. And you got to build it from the ground up. But there are four different types of businesses. There is the build up from scratch, ground up. That's the way most people see business owners. You come out here, you start, you get out there and grind and hustle. But then there's also a side hustle, something you may continue to do on the side while you keep your day job. Then you have the turnkey, which could be a franchise or vending or something where you're not really getting down there starting anything over. You're just taking over somebody's idea and capitalize on it. And then of course there's the scale it and sell it model where you're trying to build a business so you can resell it to some venture capitalist, pocket your money and move on with your life and go sit on the beach somewhere. So when I say business owner, that doesn't mean necessarily, like you say, you're going to sit there and work in this thing from sun up to sundown, and there are different types of businesses. And you have to kind of think which one you're planning to do when you set your goal. What's your goal when you set out to start a business? Say good morning to attorney Bradley Thomas. He said he's back in class today. Thank you for joining the class. One of my 8 students, attorney Bradley Thomas, he has his own show on Thursdays. And he's also a brilliant attorney. I have some of the best listeners. I tell you, boy, I'm proud. I'm proud to have such an erudite listenership. Like Brother Brown, greatest plumber in town, and Platinum, and she's always tuning in, and Colette out of Florida, and the list goes on and on. Those are the folks that I can almost count on to be here just about every Friday. Then we have a rotating group of people who just come in and out. Some just pop in depending on the topic. Some do it when they have the time. Whatever your reason for being here, welcome. I'm glad to see you. And we're going to talk about our topic today. Talking about that tortoise in the hare. When I was in the first grade, I don't know what grade I was in, but there was a parable about this rabbit and this turtle was in a race. Or they call it the tortoise and the hare. Well, when the race took off, that rabbit was running circles around that turtle. Poor turtle just togging along. That rabbit is running up and down, cutting flips and cartwheels and taunting the turtle. Well, as the race went on, the rabbit started to lose focus. He ran out of steam. He was distracted. And the old turtle went across the finish line and actually won the race. Brings up another saying about the fight does not go necessarily to the strong, nor the race to the swift, but to those who endure until the end. This is so rich when it comes to being a business owner. I was watching the football game the other night. I think it was last Thursday. Pittsburgh, Mike Thompson, the coach. And he is what I call the embodiment of what I'm preaching today. This guy's consistent. He is consistent. I mean, if consistent was a person, he's it. He perseveres. He sticks with the plan. And I don't think he's had a losing season since he's been with the team. So why am I talking about this today? Well, there's a couple of things I'm talking about today. One, I think sometimes we give too much oxygen to the flashy and the loud people. And I'm not knocking it because that's what you do, and it works for your industry, and if it works for you, do you. But sometimes some of that comes with short-term gains. And it seems like the loud and people who are gathering all this attention are doing all the winning. And that their way is the only way. Sometimes that's the way you feel it because that's what you see. And social media has exacerbated this. We see it in front of us all day long. And some of us who are not loud and flashy, try to emulate or to be like them because we figure that's where the action is. And then we try it and it doesn't work for us. Now we get discouraged and think that business ownership maybe is not for me because I tried to do it like the winners are doing it. Then if your personality doesn't fit that mold, you shouldn't be trying to be like somebody else. And you should embrace your quiet persistence, because I'm here today to let you know that that works too. That old story about the tortoise and the hare, it resonates every day throughout the business world. Now, what's the advantages of being a low-key, persistent person? You seen those people. They don't talk a lot. They seem to always have their head down working on something. They're not out at all the events. They're not at all the parties. You rarely see them on social media. And when you do see them, they're probably because somebody else dragged them over there. Well, the biggest advantage, first advantage is it's going to increase your success, your chance of success. I'm just going to tell it like it is. Because these folks who are low key and persistent, they have a sense of resiliency. They don't let things turn them around and make them change their direction. They have a dogged determination, and they just stick to it. I remember when first time I got into the franchise consulting business, one of my clients was a janitor. He'd been a janitor for, I think, near 50 years. And, you know, some people might snub their nose at that. This guy had $1 million in the bank. He was that old tortoise, consistent, head down, nose to the grind. Now, of course, also, you inspire others when you do this. People see that, and they start to look, say, wait a minute, maybe there is another way to do this. It gives you an ability to focus on what's important, on your goals. You're not jumping all over the place and trying to press people and be the bell of the ball, or the person that's going to get all the attention. And generally, you come with one of these skills that I've been talking about, whether it's networking, whether it's social media. Generally, these people have the best listening skills. Why? Because they're quiet. They're not always talking. They're not always up trying to get attention. They are observing and listening to others. And this in turn projects strong leadership. And another thing you get from these folks is their low drama. There's not a lot of conflict going on because they're not in everybody's business and everybody's not in theirs. Because one thing about people who are low key and persistent is that they keep their cards close to their chest. You don't always know what's going on with them. So now, if you're on the other side, let's say if you're flashy and full of flair, and like I said, there's nothing wrong with that, but it comes with some drawbacks. Sometimes it's hard to sustain that kind of lifestyle and that persona. It becomes like more work than the work itself. And sometimes it can drain on your long-term goals because your focus sometimes shifts away from your goals for business, and you start putting too much emphasis on maintaining this image. Sometimes it can cause you to have lack of depth. You're not as deep as you could be or should be. Then sometimes the failure rate can get in the way because your focus kind of gets scattered. Sometimes it can appear to be reckless. And it can sometimes put out a brand that you don't necessarily want. People see you as flighty and not sincere, not grounded. And so there are some downsides. But let me put in a side note here. Some people who are flashy and loud, they are very successful. But you have to be careful sometimes trying to emulate them. You might try to be who they are when really in reality, they're not actually who you see. You are seeing their stage persona. And in the quiet of night or in the of the serious moments, they are more like you than you realize. So be careful which person or what part of that person you're trying to be. That's why you have to be you. So you can't try to be somebody and that person is not even being themselves. I'm just saying. So when you do that, you go down that road. You're out here, you have a plan, and somehow, like you said, you messed around and got on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and you're seeing something that you said, well, shoot, that person is doing great. I'm over here struggling, can't pay my bills sometimes. And that may be another problem you might have to work with, but a lot of times, if you feel that you're on the right track, you've done your research, you're passionate about what you're doing, you need to stay the course. You start jumping around trying to be somebody else, then trying to maintain a image that's not you, it can burn you out. You start to look inauthentic, like you are fake. You can't sustain it, and of course, you're going to risk failure. And don't even talk about the kind of stress it's going to cause. So, what you don't want to do, if you are a consistent, low-key, persistent person, be that. That's really more the norm than the other way around. Most people by their nature, intrinsic nature, are persistent. They want to get down into the trenches and do the work, lay out a long-term plan and follow it. It's very easy to get distracted by looking at others and trying to be like them. I look at my client and partner, BLE Executive Suites. Many people don't even know her name, never met her. They don't see her all over the internet because she embodies that spirit. Myself, even though you see me up here, my big head talking on the air 4 times a month. I'm doing networking. I'm in front of audiences. I'm speaking. I'm emceeing. I'm singing. I'm doing all kind of stuff. You might think I'm that person, that flashy and loud person. Don't emulate me because I am that quiet, persistent person of fortitude. There's more fortitude in Flair. Okay, so you can't always judge the book by the cover. You have to be you. So to the people out there, and I speak because I know that I'm speaking to an audience that can relate, because all of us have sometimes, we have this imposter syndrome. We feel like, hey, am I really who I am? Or people going to discover I'm not as good as I should be. Be you. I'm going to celebrate your quiet strength, your authenticity, because you're going to have a lasting impact, not just in your business, but in the lives of others. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right. This is the Marketing Pulpit Show. I am Robert Gatewood, and we are here every Friday bringing you the good marketing gospel. As attorney Bradley Thomas said, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. That's right. Sometimes you just got to be quiet. And if it's in your nature to be quiet, then don't run from it. Embrace it. Because let me tell you, those who listen are going to outperform those who are constantly talking. I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10. All right. Once again, come on out to the first Friday next week from 11:30 to 1 o'clock. I'll be there. Miss Bernadette Clay will be there, the owner of BLE Executive Suites, also one of the sponsors of this show. And you can go to marketingpulpit.com and you can register and find out more about the event. You can also find out more about the show, find out more about me, some of the things I'm doing. And also you can find out some of our amazing guests we've had. Go to YouTube. We have a great platform there. All of the shows are there. We even have snippets of the shows broken down into certain topics. You can search on guests. Also, we're on LinkedIn. I've also written some articles. We're on Instagram. You'll see some blurbs, some of the videos, the reels, things like that. And so we're just trying to get the word out here to business owners and to let you know you're not alone, that this is it's a joint effort. It's a partnership between Marketing Pulpit and you. Tell others, share this show, and we'll be back next week to do it again. And as I always like to say, as we close out our show, if you want to be successful, you have to do these 3 things. Do the right thing, do it at the right time, and you have to do it right. Enough talk. Let's get to work.